What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of Talking Reacher. My name is Adam Vale. I'm a senior editor over at the Coalition. That's for the K, coalition.com. And I'm joined by...
My name is Lawrence. I'm Punk with Toys on all the social medias. You can find us all right down there in that little
sticker.
scroll.
Yeah, we got a little scroll always there. So you'll
like
never
ESPN
forget.
now. Like
Exactly.
I'll look for scores.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Just for giggles, I should add that one day. I'll just add in some scores, some random. And I'm like, oh, look what see what happens. But
we only got one more pre-recorded episode, and then
yeah, this is it. All right, so just some housekeeping. Quick shout out. Thanks to everyone for the support over here on YouTube. We're still getting good numbers with that. Not so much with the comments. That's cool. Not a lot of people like to talk. Fine, but people are engaging, at least watching the content. They're going through, they're enjoying it. We enjoy making it, so thank you. Same thing on Spotify and Apple and all the other platforms out there. We're seeing numbers. People are just enjoying the content, and it's always great, right? We're making this stuff. Lawrence makes his videos and his toy reviews. We all enjoy when we're producing something and people are interested and appreciate it. So it's great. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thanks for commenting. If you're not, then go ahead, give the thumbs up, give the follow. That all helps because we have big plans coming forward after this. Because as you know, there's only one episode left. Right, this is episode 7 that we're going to be covering today. That's LA Story. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it because we will be doing a full recap and discussion. Then we have episode 8. Then we plan on doing right after it airs a live. We're going to do a live.
After it airs, because it airs on Thursday. We're going to do Sunday night.
Oh, my bad. There we go. Rewind.
So everyone will have a little bit of time to watch it. So what did we say? March 30th. Sunday, March 30th.
I got all these dates mixed up. Yep.
Yeah. So March 30th, it airs on the 27th of March. You'll have all weekend to watch it, and then 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is when we normally sit down. You guys don't see that. Yeah. We're going to go live, and if you guys are interested, and we'd love for you guys to jump in. Tell us what you said. Tell us what you thought of this season. I've heard people say they don't like this season.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too, and I'm on the fence with all of it because my favorite is season 2. I love season 2. I love that whole aspect of putting the team together. Season 1 was gritty. That was our first intro with Reacher and what this whole show is about and the character, at least this version. Similar to the Tom Cruise in the movie, but man, this guy's a mountain of a man. You know, he's hulking and it's very believable with all of it. But
I think what happens when you get in further into seasons is that people know that there's a lot of action, and just like The Walking Dead, they want action every single second, and that's not how a story is told, right?
Yeah. And then also these are separate novels written by Lee Child, so they're not connected in a way besides Reacher and some characters, but some are action-packed, some are more story-driven. Like this one has a lot of like sneaking elements and just investigation taking place as opposed to, like you said, action, run in, kill everybody, smash face, you know. There was some of that sprinkled here and there, but definitely, like even this one, I don't think we had anything on that level.
No, this was a very boring one, but it's clearly leading up to the season finale.
Yeah, this is definitely a build-up. Roman agrees. He enjoyed this episode. He was like, but I can hear him bitching. He was like, where was the violence? I wanted to see some of the action. We didn't get that.
Yeah, if anyone's wondering, that's my dog, Roman, downstairs. My daughter's supposed to be letting him out. They let him out, but won't go outside with him just for a couple seconds, so he just wants to come right back in. Mm-hmm. So trying to do it so he doesn't come in here and start.
Yeah. And he looks at the cameras like, what's going on? Oh, man. So, yeah, there we go, people. Thanks again for all of that. Let me see. We plan on doing the live show, so get ready for that when that happens. And then we hopefully have some other things to announce that we plan on doing. Because this has been working out. So we're thinking of covering some other things. And so we'll fill you in when that comes up. But, let's just jump into this. This is episode 7, season 3, LA Story. 3, 2, 1. Man, the way they left off in the last episode 6, when Reacher was like, where are we going? We're going to LA. I was under the mindset that the whole episode was going to take place in LA. That we're going to see all this craziness in LA, see a lot of landmark chase scenes in front of different places. You know, that's usually whenever any show name drops a big city, they do that because they want to point out the big city. Oh, we're going to New York. All right, we're going to show the Brooklyn Bridge. We're going to show people running in 42nd Street. We didn't get that for this. For
No, it's a small part of the show. Like it's a small part of the episode, which didn't even need to be. Like
Mm,
I'm sorry, like I guess if it's in the book and they went to L.A., but so we'll start off as we have Susan and Rachel are driving to the airport, and Susan like Rachel basically says this isn't the way to the airport, and she's like we got to stop somewhere. You can't really figure out where she's gonna stop, and she stops at Teresa's grandmother's house. I'm so tired of Teresa, and I'll be honest, I'm tired of Susan. All right. Not my ex Susan that I had kids with, but the Susan in this episode. All right.
yeah.
This series, right? I'm tired of Susan.
And plus, it doesn't really. It shows that there's more of a connection because before she gave the backstory of like, oh well, this was someone that I drug. It was a drug bust, right? It was Teresa and her boyfriend, and then
Yeah.
she pretty much forced her to do this. But in this scene, you see she's hanging out with the grandma, Teresa's grandma. She's coming in for some chowder,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh come on,
And she's not stopping over to say, hey, listen, we got a lead on where where
Mhm.
your granddaughter is. She like, you know, what I brought this for you. I know what you like to have, for breakfast. Oh, why don't you like? I thought this is a rush. They're going all the way from the East Coast as far over to the West Coast as you
Yeah.
can get. That's a long flight, but
They're
just
not
gonna
worried
stop.
about missing that flight.
Yeah.
They're not worried
But
about that.
as much of a filler as this is, there are some pretty funny lines in this.
Yeah, there was some funny
Like,
moments there. Grandma starts picking up some signs. She thinks there's some
yes.
chemistry between the two, and doing that. How long have you guys been a couple? And bringing those type of jokes.
And Reacher says she only likes me for my body.
Yeah, you know. And it's funny because you laugh and you're like, yeah, I bet that's probably true because he's very stern. I mean, there's not like his sense of humor is very dry, and
Oh, it's totally dry.
yeah, so he's a massive man and he's straightforward. And I'm sure she's also, a DEA agent. She's into that life. So she appreciates his demeanor and how he carries himself. So I'm sure all that helps. But so when he says, she only wants me for my body, he's probably not joking.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
always funny to hear like an old lady that supposed to be like this wholesome grandmother that
in her
like,
house coat.
yeah, that like gets this, so it's like that was comical, but it went on too long. Like all I needed to see was, hey, I'm dropping this off. Hey, we got to leave. I'm gonna bring Teresa home. This is a 50-minute episode, and this is probably the least amount of notes that I took.
Yeah, it was.
Long fillers.
And I was
Like,
waiting for something. Yeah, I agree because I was waiting for something to come from this. I'm like, maybe she's going to give some insight or some, but no, this really didn't do anything. If anything, the grandmother has too much faith in Duffy, and
Yeah.
because you keep saying it's like, oh, I know you're gonna find her, and I'm glad that you're out there doing this and this whole thing, and telling Reacher because they said Reacher was like a counselor or something like that. They came up with some BS excuse of why he's there.
Yeah. So next thing we see after this is we see Neagley showing up at Kostopoulos' house.
Good job with the name, man. Good job with the name because I was not going to get that right.
I have it. I have it right here. Kostopoulos, Kostopoulos. Before people yell at me saying you said it with a G, Kostopoulos, and they're in Chicago, and of course nobody on the street. Now I don't know. I don't live in Chicago. I live in the suburbs of Detroit, but this is a place where there's probably going to be a lot of people walking, but that doesn't fit the narrative, so there's no people.
No. I could have swore he said there was some kids watching or something like that.
That was at the end.
Yeah,
that's
toward
like
the
right
end.
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically goes on and says, hey, you know what? She's grilling him, but we don't get a huge idea of who this guy is and why she's even there.
Off-camera work. This is what and other shows they do it. Walking Dead was infamous with this off-camera work. So, like you said, we don't know. We don't know any of the Becksters. She just shows up there with a gun and she says, I'm the person that you hired people to kill.
Yeah.
Right. So she must have tracked him down. She must have obtained some more information, was able to find out where he's at, go to his home, and there we go. So,
she knew, when she said Quinn, he said there's only a few of us There's only a few of us that know him by both his names.
Mhm. Yep.
And so it's just like, all right. So she knows, like, somehow Quinn contacted her and whatever. And she gives a rundown of, like, I could shoot you, that I'm gone by the time people show up, and I have a program that's saying that I'm buying something on, I forget where it was. So he basically,
Wayfair or something like that.
yeah,
Furniture. Yeah.
Wayfair. And he gives in right away. He just, okay, well, here's all you need to know. And he goes, "What, are you going to kill me in front of these kids?" That's when we see kids in the background, and then she just punches them and says, next time you send men to kill me, send more," something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But it's like we found out also that he was a former fixer for Quinn.
Yeah,
And that's where that whole thing, he came back with a new name, new life, whole thing, and then still needed some things fixing. And that's when he got the call to go do this.
yeah.
So
So next thing we see is Susan and Reacher in a hotel room. They don't say that they're in LA, but clearly they are, because they're watching surveillance of Darian.
Darian, yeah,
Yeah,
some rich guy they know is doing a lot of shady stuff. And
yeah.
that's the connection to all of this.
So this is where I have, again, now he's obviously selling, or when he's buying guns, yeah, he's buying guns because that's why they flew there. But until just now, until like the last episode, we didn't even know, or last few episodes, we didn't know that they were gun running. They found out at the same time. So how they have surveillance of this guy and who the hell this guy is, but they go to LA.
I think she said that this was a while back, because when they were sitting at the hotel and she pulled it up on her laptop, it looked like old surveillance, like tailing. And they said they didn't find anything. Like they were watching
Yeah.
her.
So I'm not sure how they linked him. Again, if we're missing something, please.
Yeah,
tell
go
us.
ahead. Fill in, because there was a lot. There was a lot in this.
And I have to say this: we're watching what they send to us. I would hate to find out that there's things they added in.
Hey,
I haven't gone and watched any of the episodes that.
yeah. After we watched it,
we probably should.
You know what? Yep. I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
How crazy! Oh man, I would crack up at people like, you keep talking about this Duffy. You know, it's someone named Jill, and it's a completely different actor. They rewrote her out completely, and it's somebody else in that role. It's like, you guys are watching a different show.
Yeah, like, man, I only watch these guys because they're such idiots, and I don't even think they're talking about the same show.
Exactly. Oh man, talking about this with a Boston accent. This is Asian lady. What are they talking about? What are they talking about? But yeah, she finds this. So then there's a lot of questions in this. For one, when they just approach the guy, I'm sure he has people around. He even said, he was like, "I'm not leaving, or you don't have the right to talk to me with no search warrant." And then they give him the whole rundown of how they plan on doing things. If he doesn't come along, they're going to make believe or Reacher says this stuff. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to just say you resist." What was it? Not arrest, but he didn't want to cooperate.
Oh, no. Did he say that he?
I'm trying to look at.
Yeah, that you attacked.
A
DEA agent.
And that right there made no sense, because there's other people there. I can understand if it was a one-on-one situation, and then it's like you're in an alleyway. Yeah, we could say whatever we want, but this is a busy area. There's
a lot of people.
There.
This is the one time there are people there.
Yeah, exactly.
There are people there, and they're like, we'll just lie. And
exactly, everyone else is wrong. Everyone else saw something else.
Yeah,
it's like, come on.
As we know, in this day and age, everyone has a phone. Everyone has a camera.
Oh, they should.
So anyway, that wouldn't fit the narrative, so we have to continue to go on.
Yeah, they said, we're leaving. We're going to his place.
His gallery.
They go to his gallery. They go inside, take a look around. Then they start talking about Duffy. Starts talking about the money laundering and all the schemes that he's on. Because then we really find out that it's just gaining information from him. It's not so much of him, because he doesn't want to cooperate. And this is, again, off-camera stuff, because then they're like, well, yeah, Reacher reminds him of the 3-strike rule. It says you're on 2 strikes. Next one is life sentence. Well, I didn't do anything. He's like, yeah. What about that a handicap tag that you have for your car? You're not handicapped. And he's like, oh, I have a doctor's. Yeah. We talked to that doctor, and it turns out that you forced him. And this whole thing, it's like, is he BSing? Because we didn't see that, and they never brought it up again after that. So I'm assuming they did.
You can't say that it's BSing because clearly they knew how he obtained it. So, I mean, if they were BSing, he'd be like, "That's not even how I got it."
Well, I thought meaning like when they were shaking down because they were talking about they shook down the doctor saying they were going to threaten his
well, that's
license.
what I'm saying. Like, but if they were BSing that they went to the doctor, he'd know. He'd be
he
like, "That's not even." Again, that's the filler of like, all right, this is how smart we are. This is all the stuff we've done, but it does. The timetables are not making sense.
Not adding up. It's still daylight out. It's like, yeah, you're doing a lot of running around then.
Yeah,
and watching videos.
But yeah, so yeah, let you go.
So he gets the information. Well, they get some info on Quinn and what's going on, and we find out that there are some buyers that are coming in from Yemen, right? That was the whole big thing because then they talk to Neagley about this.
But wait a minute, we missed something while they were in California.
Oh, there was a lot of back and forth.
But there was something else that happened in California.
Let me see. Found the doc. Oh yes. Yes, that's right. All right, I wrote this.
Oh, but yeah, before they go and see the guy, they make whoopee.
Yeah, there we go. I thought I was the only person that used that term. Wait till Oh yeah, they do. So they're at the hotel. You know it's coming. We know it's coming.
Oh yeah,
if you watch Reacher, there's always one episode, and we already got that tease in the last episode. So here it is. Now they're at the hotel. The music has changed. That's the other thing. The background music. There's always music in the hotel room. That's the other thing. And this is it. This is Duffy's making her move. And she says she makes her move. Yeah, I mean, she says she's doing it because he said he tries to pull away. He's like, "Oh, I thought you said you couldn't do this." And she's like, "This is until I got to see the real you." And because she brings up Teresa again, and he says that he is going to make sure he does whatever he can to save her. Sort of like apologizing for brushing that idea that she's still alive off, and that was enough to make the clothes drop for Duffy.
Again, and then a lot. There's a lot that's happening in a very small window, where time is irrelevant here.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say though, I mean, not like looking for it, but this was definitely a cleaner version of this interaction with the ladies, for Reacher, especially compared to the season 1 with the shower and all that.
Well, I thought season 2 had one with the.
I think it did. I think with
it was pretty.
The 110 member, yeah, they had some. Like this one was definitely very tamed. Not saying we're looking for craziness, but I'm just saying compared to other seasons. So I think I mean it's a fair guess. I think this is a one and done. I don't think we're going to see anything. The next episode is, I'm assuming, going to be all action, especially based off of how this episode was kind of slow rolling.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to show up in the season finale. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see where else. So then, what else we got here? We got the buyers. We find that out. Oh, we do a little jump back with Beck, and he's hanging out with his boy at the mansion, and he sees his son Richard hiding something, and he instantly runs over. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't hide!" And then we find out it's the gun. It's the toy gun for his birthday, and then he starts bringing back memories. He's like, "Oh wow, I remember running around in the woods with this thing and having a great time." And then he gets all emotional, starts talking about how hard it was raising him, especially when the mom had passed, when I guess he was a young age, and it was hard being a dad. And he was like, "Well, maybe I should have really been there for you more." And then we joked, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should have just sent him in a boarding school because you're a gun runner. You shouldn't freak.
Don't sell guns. I mean, there's lots of things.
Yeah, stick to rugs, man. Stick to rugs.
But I like this. Like there's a lot of filler, but this is really showing how much Beck cares about Richard, and I have no problem with that because this gives me an actual reason to care about Richard and even Beck. Like he wants his son. Like at the beginning of the season, we think like this guy doesn't even give a shit. Sorry, that's my one.
Mm-hmm.
They doesn't really care, but we're seeing throughout it, he really does. And this, and again, giving a little backstory about how much he loved playing with the gun and running around. He played in the woods for hours, and it tells a lot about the character that makes me care about him and his son.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely because there was again, people, you've seen this episode, there was a lot of jumping back and forth. We
yes,
can't link time because everything pretty much was happening during the day. And then even where we didn't see the fly back for Reacher and Duffy, because they eventually did come back to
yeah,
Maine.
just back. Just
Yeah, I mean, to the point that even Frances showed up, because that was another part, and she had a meeting with Beck, and it was supposed to make believe it was something that Beck
yeah.
put
So
Reacher put together.
yeah, so they set up the meeting, and they set up a meeting, and then
Saying that it was a potential buyer,
yeah,
and
and
there's
then
a driver off in the distance, and we're like, we're going to
yeah,
talk just like we're doing a deal, but this is all put together by Reacher, so we need
yeah,
all the info for Quinn. Fill it.
yeah. So
So
Neely basically tells him everything. She follows him and all this other stuff, and again, now he has to work with Reacher if he wants to save Richard. But, all right, that's fine.
oh, we see his ear. That was the other big part, right? We
Oh
see
yeah,
that Quinn cut his ear off.
it's again. There's a lot of jumping back and forth. How people get places. Um, again, just some of it doesn't make any sense, but and then we go back to where is it?
I mean, there was
Oh,
also
and then we see yeah, and then after that interaction with Beck and Teresa or Beck and um, Neely,
Richard. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
with Beck and Neely when they meet, then we see Richard showing up. Richard Quinn, too many names.
yeah. There's so many
Quinn
people
showing up at the place where Teresa is being held,
in the
which is in
basement.
some weird ass old abandoned built like kind of like
Yeah.
really like you just couldn't find a house in the woods like you're rich like but this is
Mhm.
where and again she's been clean and he's shooting her up and basically says you're lucky you have red hair because one of the buyers likes redheads.
Yeah, he's got all these evil plans, and I don't know. It's like they never really, at least when we saw the flashback and they did that whole episode of Quinn, he didn't seem like he was this sadistic with everything, but definitely this version, this present day, he's talking about
Yeah,
horrible things that he wants to do to her and all this stuff if she wasn't
yeah,
interested, if the buyers weren't interested. It was weird, very weird, but yeah, they're drugging her up to keep her numb
yeah,
before they make the
yeah. The guy
transaction,
can't remember his name.
but he can remember all this.
We can remember that he was this statistical guy. Again, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. And they even had said that before. That guy, the one that Francis came across and talked about how, like, oh yeah, this guy just came back out and he dropped the Quinn title, and now he's McCabe, started a whole new life, but still kept him within that business. So
Yeah,
it's like selective amnesia, right? Like it's like you forget some things, but you know how to run a criminal operation.
yeah. So the next thing we see is the four of them. Needley is now with Billy, Susan, and Reacher, and Susan comes in and gives her sandwiches and says, thank you so much. And his sandwich, it's probably not, it doesn't amount to anything that you're helping. And she's like, Reacher's never got me a sandwich. And he's like, you never asked.
Exactly.
But this is with their first meeting, and it's kind of weird because Susan talks, and again, Susan is Duffy. I call her Susan. You call her Duffy.
Yeah.
I call her Neely. You call her Francis. So,
We're switching.
like the things we kind of like you complain about, like I hate that they're using.
Yeah, where are you doing? I'm doing it myself. Yeah.
And then like Duffy winks at Reacher, and then right away, I mean, Francis had already figured it out. Neely had already figured it out. But now she sees it and she's like, okay, so hey, can I talk to you? And they have their conversation and again,
She doesn't want Duffy involved. She doesn't feel that she needs to be involved in this. This is going to be too deep. And she's like, no, I want her there. She's invested. But then again, that contradicts a lot of other things that he portrays with situations, because he feels if you're emotionally attached to it, that's more chances of you screwing up and acting out.
But,
You know?
yeah, but his, when he describes what she's like, and then he says, "What about, the other guy? Bad knees, bad back,
Back,
small
yeah,
heart." And she's
all
like, "So
hard.
this is our team." Like, yep, this
Mm,
is our team.
mm.
um, oh, and there is a point where when they're driving, we forgot. There's a part where the three of them are driving, Billy, Susan, and Reacher, and he figures out that they slept together, and he's like, "Come on!"
I mean, it was the weirdest discovery. Also, it had to do with like a back of rug. He's like, "How do you get a rug burn back?" Oh man, it was supposed to be working. It's
Well, you know what? In all honesty, that is exactly how back in high school, or maybe right after high school, you would find out two of your friends are like fooling around, and you'd be like, "How?"
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it'd be like,
Finding out, or I don't even know if kids do the hickeys. Remember hickeys was a thing,
I was lucky to never
but I
give
would see
or
that,
receive
and
one.
that was
Oh
such a
yes, because anytime someone wore a turtleneck and it's in Michigan it's like 85 degrees in the summer, and you're like, why you got a turtleneck on, huh? Well, are you trying to hide something?
well.
There's no other way to hide it. Like there's
So because of my last name, Vale, we all alphabetical by last name, I was always in the back. So I had a clear view of the classroom and I would always see people's necks and stuff. I'm like, oh man, Jenny, what are you doing? And I was like, it's like I could see that. Cover it up. Look at you. Come on now. But man, yeah, it was a funny moment. But I think that was also with the connection of their scoping things out, right?
yeah,
They're seeing we also have Frances. There was a lot of jumping around, but Frances, she's at the airport. She sees the buyers coming in,
yeah.
right? They're coming in from Yemen.
Yeah,
That was
this
the
is where
other
they
info.
figure out Yemen. And so it does again, like they said, how many people, how many flights can be coming from Yemen? Now I gotta tell something. I thought Yemen was a made up place in the
What?
episode of Friends when um Matthew Perry's who is Matthew Perry in Friends? Uh, Chandler. When
Chandler.
he's trying to get away from his ex girlfriend, and he's like, I'm going to Yemen for work." I thought it was a made up place. Now later on in life, I found out it was not a made up
Hmm.
place. But I always thought Yemen was a made up place for like throughout that whole episode, and even like a little bit past that. I went, "Oh, Yemen's a real place." So anytime I hear Yemen, I go back to
You
that
think of
episode
that
of
one?
Friends. And anyone that watched Friends will know exactly what episode I'm talking about. um, so I hear Yemen, that's what I thought of. But
See,
again, how many places can be there? And Billy's like, it's probably this airfield. It's secluded. Boom. All right.
well, he was right. The guy
Yeah.
is a master PI for all this because sure enough, Frances shows up and she sees him. She's like, "Yep, I got eyes on him," and that's her role for the rest of this episode to tail them, find out where they're going, what they're doing, because we know a few things are happening. One, also, Richard has his birthday party. Still has to do that, right? We
Yeah.
get another scene, where he was talking to Quinn, and Quinn's now in Beck's office, like he's the boss of the house, and he was like, "Well," is Beck saying, "I think I'm gonna, put this off aside, forget about the birthday." But no, 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 no. People are watching. The government's watching us now that we know because he had all these spies. We have to make it seem like everything's on the up and up. And that's when Beck was like, "Well, my son's gonna go out to movies. He doesn't want to be here." No, 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 no. He has to be here. We need him
Yeah.
here. And he puts his hand on his neck, Beck's neck, and basically gesturing like, "I got you by the neck. This is it. Your kid is here. You're here. You're not leaving my side." And now we find out later why he's really
Yeah.
pushing for all this. But
And
yeah,
yeah. So, Beck has that. He basically says, well, you're going to have to go out there, even during his party. So here we have Neely, who is following the buyers.
the Yemen vibe, yeah.
All right. Now she follows them to, I think, a hotel or
Spa. Yeah,
somewhere.
hotel spa,
Right.
something. Yeah.
During this time, the other guys, are in the hotel. Reacher, Susan, and
Billy.
Billy. And Susan informs Reacher that, well, we're bringing in the ATF. And Reacher doesn't want to, and they kind of get in their fight about it. And then they're just all of a sudden having a meeting with the ATF. Like, hey, guess what? I understand you're DEA, but now you're just getting, now you're just in a meeting. They're setting up, and this is happening all tonight.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
very quick.
yeah, France is like tailing them, yet they're able to put this whole plan together. And the ATF basically says, no, you guys can sit in the surveillance.
I mean, again, people, if you're into the armed forces and the military and all these type of groups, and you have knowledge, you don't have to give your personal, but just go ahead and contribute, because some of this doesn't add up. I would think Duffy would have to go to her superior, and her
Yeah.
superior would make that final call of like, all right, let me call, let me coordinate, let's get this going. But no, she shows up. How about this? How do you ask who Reacher is during the meeting in the ATF's
He's just
boss's
sitting there.
office? How did he even get that far? You would get screened downstairs during the metal detector. Hey, ID, identification, tell me why you're here, the whole thing. You don't just stroll in, and then while you're there in this private meeting with the big boss, right, of ATF, then it's like, wait a minute, who are you? And I
Yeah.
feel that the
And it
show
wasn't
does
even until
that.
he spoke up. It wasn't even until he said anything they asked who he was.
Yeah. How do you? What? Oh, you don't notice this monster of a man standing in the corner there?
Yeah.
No,
And then
nobody.
and then when he basically tells them, hey, then you don't have to be there. He storms out. I'm thinking, yeah, they're not letting you just walk out and walk around the
It's just
ATF agency.
And then we find out also that the ATF boss is a prick. He doesn't want to play nice. He wants to take control of the whole operation. He also threatens that he's going to ruin their careers because he's going to announce that they did all this hush hush on the side.
Well, all he told, he said, I have no choice.
Yeah, he has no
And
choice.
you know that it's going to ruin your, And again, he's not wrong. They probably should have contacted people since then.
But I mean, if anything, he could have just said it came from an informant. I mean, isn't this whole show based on trying to save an informant?
I mean,
So they could have just said, hey, we got some. It's a win-win, right? Because ATF goes in, they do this big bust. They're the heroes. They save the gun running operation. They catch terrorists, the whole nine. But no, they still have to put that. And that's when Billy jumps in. It's like, you know what? I'm the senior officer here. I take full responsibility. Duffy jumps in. No, this was all my call.
Yeah, that I could have lived without.
Yeah, we could have lived with that, but we knew it was going to happen.
So much filler here. And then what after that is?
This is.
Oh, yeah, then they're in the hotel room, and Reacher's just sulking on the couch like a child, or on the bed like a child. And they're packing up, and Susan is like, "You're mad at me." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." Yeah.
But you know what? I thought I'm gonna say, because now I could jump in on this part because now it makes more sense. Same thing. I thought, oh, he's just sulking. That's out of character for him to lay there all like, upset. But it's really that he was hiding something because he bought that sniper rifle. Because remember when
we don't know when he bought it, but
no, wait. Now, nope. I think I messed up on my notes because it wasn't when he stormed out of that room. It's after this that he. So I think that's what it is. It wasn't that he's planning something out. And she comes over.
She calms him down and gives him a little kiss, and it's all cute.
Yeah. It's like, no, this is it. It'll be fine. This is what we have to do. Because that was the other thing. The ATF boss was like, they have to stay in the van like 20 yards or whatever it was.
50 yards away.
50 yards away. And she also said, don't worry, Reacher will be with us in there. At that point, I would think the boss was like, he doesn't even have a title. He's not in any of this. So, no, he doesn't even need to be. Why?
But I also think, now this is kind of where, again, I'm not law enforcement, but I would think after they kind of said who he was, that's when you would be more like, I would rather be working with this guy than you guys, and I need to talk to whoever your boss is, because you seem to have a better knowledge of what's going on here.
He has a history with the guy.
Yeah.
He knows.
But yeah, so next thing we see them, they're in their, they're in the in the control van, and we kind of see everything that's happening. Nothing else happened, right?
No, that's because there was that other part where it's back at the mansion, and that's why I was complaining about the really big low chandeliers. They're too low. They're too low. Maybe it was a camera
Oh yeah,
angle, but man, these things are low. But then again, maybe they lowered the chandelier so they could change the lights and clean them, and then
yeah.
just
This is when Quinn informs Beck that he has to be there at 9, which is the same time that his party is going.
yep, yep. And already Beck goes into his son's room. It's a black tie for, so he's helping him get dressed and stuff. And he says, "Do me a favor. When it hits 9, come back and just sit in your room. Just stay here in your room, okay?
And lock your door because they can't get
Lock.
in if you lock the door.
Yep, lock the door. Can't get. I don't know. You would think in a mansion there's plenty of other places to hide besides the obvious bedroom. You know what I mean? It's like, come on now, go somewhere in the attic, go somewhere in the cellar. There's got to be spots. There just has to be. But then he goes outside and then he makes the call, filling in Neagley and filling in Reacher and everybody just like, hey, this is what's going on. This is happening. This is the
Yeah.
operation. So it's definitely going down during that time. But he says it's going to happen offshore or something like that. So further out of town.
Yeah.
The exchange, right? So that's the setup. But they're like, hey, we're okay because we have Francis who's following the buyers from that location. So that's covered, and they're keeping an eye out on the docks. They see cars showing up, so that seems to be good. And this is where the big swerve happens.
Yeah. So once again, the whole Teresa thing gets brought up to the guy that's in charge of the ATF, and she's like, "No, she has to be the first priority." Again, it's not their first priority; they're the ATF.
Yeah.
All right.
They don't even have a picture. They don't even have a picture.
Tobacco and firearms. All right. No. Not alcohol. Teresa and firearms. All right.
And right there, that's when you hand a picture. He doesn't know. He doesn't know who Teresa is. He's like, no picture. There could be anybody there. She didn't even describe. She's like, Teresa has to be okay. Who's Teresa? What does she look like? I don't have time for this. You see, I have my gun in my hand. I'm ready to go in. What are you doing?
So as we're watching the surveillance, finally Reacher gets mad. He storms out. And then
this is when he goes into the trunk.
His trunk, and he says, pulling out a sniper rifle. Mm-hmm. And then Susan shows up and asks, it says something where he got it, and he's like, at a pawn shop. Now, again, I know pawn shops do sell weapons. I don't know if they sell.
Don't they have to do a background or something like 2 days or something? It isn't Walmart laws.
I don't think they can also sell high-powered sniper rifles with suppressors on it. Now, that's illegal. Having a suppressor is illegal.
Yeah. I don't know where he got this, but hey, he probably flashed his military ID and some under the counter stuff.
But they still shouldn't have it. Like they shouldn't. Nope. But anyway,
but this is when the show makes a correction or fills in the blank, because the first thing any viewer is going to ask, like, when did he have time to get this? And that's when she says, "Oh, so this is what you did when you said you were going for coffee? You went and got a sniper rifle." Because that's the only time. Remember that they separated, and it was in that.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going for coffee.
Yeah, I'm going for coffee. Yeah, and poof, this is really what he did. He went and he bought at a pawn shop. So who knows how good it is? I don't know. Does he know how to clean a weapon? Was it already cleaned? A lot of discussions. But hey, doesn't matter. He's gonna take this out, assemble, and get into sniper position, which he does.
Well, he gets in position, and then he calls Neagley and says, "Hey, I need you to scrub everything," because he's already told Teresa, or he's already told Susan Duffy, the moment I see him, he's dead. End of story. I don't care.
Yeah, he's out for vengeance. He's not out for justice. He told that to Billy.
And again, Susan is really just concerned about Teresa. Again, I hate Teresa. All right, we finally seen. I hate Teresa. All right, sorry, Teresa, I hate you. All right, I'm so tired of Teresa and Susan. All right.
It's funny that the story is all based on someone that we just see now in episode 7.
Yeah.
There really no other connection. I don't know. They should have been more character development. More reason for the viewers to care.
Maybe seeing how she was being held early on in the episodes, because we saw the food, but maybe seeing an episode.
Or even when the grandma, remember, she gave that volleyball story with the balls and how good she took was it one of the kids stole the balls or something, and then she took the blame for it, and she said, because my daughter's no snitch,
The principal grilled her for an hour about
Yeah,
I think they were dodgeballs.
the dodgeballs, but she didn't snitch. I was like, okay, that's a great quality. I don't know what to say about that. So, but yeah, that's it. That's more back info that we have that doesn't really do anything for this character.
Yes. But we do see Reacher. He's in his sniper position. He calls Neagley, basically tells her, you know what, get out once this goes down. Anything, scrub anything you owe of me. You know, they're showing him now, and she's like, I'm following him. And he's like, what do you mean you're following him? They're showing up right now. And then he's like, are you following the coastline? Yes. Well, that's when they figure out this is a setup.
Yeah.
So Beck is not supposed to get away from this.
Nope. No. And this is when he puts 2 and 2 together and realizes, well, it looks like this is happening at the mansion. So what's all this with, he said an SUV just showed up in Reacher's area. This is a setup. It's a trap. So they know that they're being watched. Now, here's the question. Do they know? Do they guess? Or do they have someone on the inside? How do they know? You know, because that's the other thing. It's one thing to like set up a fake location and do all this stuff, but it makes it look like there's going to be a firefight there. So they are expecting someone like the ATF or DEA or someone to show up to fight with, and they're going to take them out there.
Yeah, and that's where this episode ends. So there's still a lot that's left to be explained. I haven't looked to see how long the final episode is, but there's got to be a lot of there's a lot of loose ends you got to tie up.
A lot of loose ends, but if anyone's familiar with Reacher, especially the series and the novels, they end. Each season, each episode, each book, they end, and then that's it. It's a new journey. So it's not going to be a dun dun dun, and to tune in next season to find out what. No, everything should be wrapped up in the next episode.
Well, I hope so, because there's only one episode.
Yeah, that's it. It'll be crazy if they decide to split it up, but they don't do things like that. So, and as we know from IMDb and there's already been approved for season 4.
Yep.
So that is for sure. And then, of course, we talked about Frances getting her own spinoff. That's definitely happening. So I'm assuming that'll pop up before season 4 of Reacher Show.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of questions. What's going to happen? I predict a few things. Firefight. A bunch of people die. I predict, and again, I haven't watched ahead, people. Beck, I think he's going to die. Quinn definitely has to die.
Well, I think we're finally going to get the. Well, we know Paulie and Reacher fight, and we haven't really seen them fight.
Oh, we haven't even seen Paulie was in this episode.
Just for a second, you remember when he goes up to Reacher?
Yeah, a glance.
Well, that might have been even in the previous episode.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing him interact with
anyone. I think he was. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that was it. They didn't even talk about him or anything. So I don't know,
but
that fight has to happen. I hope they don't go down the same trope of the former retired police officer in like Billy, you know, the law enforcement guy about to retire, then dies taking a bullet to protect someone. I could see that happening. Duffy's in a fight or a shootout. He comes to help, and then he takes a bullet.
I hope not, because Billy is a very lovable character.
Yeah. This is not what he wanted for his last few months, you know, on the job. He wanted an easy route.
Like him. He's a very lovable character. He's the comic relief throughout this show.
Yeah. You know what? If Amazon makes figs for this series, that I want that to be my first pre-order. My first pre-order. That goes that and Reacher, those two. And they could be my buddy cop system, and I'll put them over there on the side. You know, I could go for that. Not so much with the Duffy. Yeah.
Well, then I'll make it Teresa. I don't want it.
Yeah. The Nadine, I could go for that too. The Francis, I should say.
What would we give Teresa? A spoon and a needle?
Right, exactly. Spoon and a needle. What was it from Toy Story? Spoonie? What was it?
Oh,
Forky.
Yes. My daughter, she fell in love with that. So there's a couple of Funko Pops I know that we have of those.
I mean, you could have just made that one, just like they did in the movie. It was like, oh, we could do this. Let's go to the kitchen. I'm sure we have something here. You know, we've had Chinese food before.
Just go to KFC.
Yeah,
KFS,
exactly.
KFS is the program that we use for our copiers, not
Yeah.
KFC is where you get the 11 herbs and spices.
Mhm. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you have out there in New York. We have a Kennedy Fried Chicken. Did you
No.
ever have that? Yeah, it's just like KFC, but it's Kennedy Fried Chicken, and it's behind a plexiglass. And then when you go in, it's like, oh, you order what you want, and then they have one of those revolving, almost like in a pawn shop type of system. You get your food, and then they
Uh,
just rotate it, and you put the money in, and they rotate it back.
there's
Real
a few.
shady.
There's a few of those in Detroit where they have the big bulletproof glass that you're behind.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't make you feel real good. Um, no,
So yeah, word to the wise people: if you're ever in a neighborhood and you see fast food places that have this system that we're talking about, keep driving. Don't stop there. There's a reason that even the fast food places don't feel safe. Okay, so
most bank tellers don't even have the bulletproof glass
no,
anymore
no,
because no one carries cash.
exactly. There used to be. I don't know. I think they're all gone. Washington Mutuals. You remember the WAMUs? There was a bunch of chains.
Name
Anyway,
sounds familiar.
I remember going in one, and they just had like little mobile stands, and they do have a little laptop and a little cash register. I was like, how can I help you? I'm like, and I thought I had to check in. I'm like, yeah, I need to go change some stuff in my account. I could do that right here. I'm like, right here? What are
Oh,
you doing? And it was so there was no window, there was nothing. They were like,
yeah.
oh, this is our mobile office, and we can move around and make space if there's too many people here. This doesn't seem right.
Oh, wow. No, I've
Yeah.
never seen that.
Oh, they're gone now. That's probably why it didn't work. I don't know. But there goes that. But anyway, that was a rambling there. Uh thanks again, everybody, for jumping in and tuning in. And oh, I almost forgot. Ratings. I'm going to give this. Okay, this was similar to what we saw with what was it, episode 2, I think. That was just story building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two was
yeah,
boring.
it's one of those. This is a story building episode.
Yeah,
We didn't see any deaths in this one. And this
which
is
is
like
okay. It's okay not to see like death, but this was very. Again, this episode could have been a half hour easily. Like there's so much filler to get it to be, 50 minutes. It's kind of like my Monday night show where I just fill in to make sure I go over 3 hours.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, it's definitely filling, but then at the same time, they're cramming so much. We talked about it. Why go to LA? That felt pointless. Why emphasize we're going to LA? That felt pointless because not a lot happened in LA. You still ended going right back to Maine because that's where all the action is. So
You could have
what?
gone to Michigan, which would have made more sense because it's like what, a 2 hour flight probably to get to Michigan rather than going all the way across the country. And again, I know Detroit is not LA. All right, there's no glitz and glam, but they didn't show anything about LA.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't. That's what I'm saying. They didn't bring up anything. We didn't see the theater. We didn't see the boardwalk. Nah, there's nothing. So there was no point. It could have been
Yeah,
anywhere.
going up to New
Anywhere.
York would have made more sense, right? Like,
Yeah. Going. Yeah, because then if you could do the overhead shots or showing the bridges, all that stuff,
yeah,
and they did that though. We saw that last season. Remember last?
Baltimore. I mean, somewhere that's just closer that made sense time wise. But whatever. We've already found out. I mean, this guy's swimming
Yeah.
across, parts of an ocean, and no one questions
Yeah.
how long it took him to get there. And then he's just like, "Bring me some clothes."
Yeah. He just does it. He just does it. So what was that? I said a 3 out of 5. What are you giving it?
3.5 at best.
And,
This was a very boring episode. It built up, but I just thought there was too much filler. I don't have a problem with building it up. You and I discussed The Walking Dead before, and everyone wanted just hordes of zombies killed every single episode. And I was like, that's not how a real world would be.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I just felt like there was too much story building of things we didn't need to see.
Yeah. What we do need to see is how this all comes together.
Yeah,
And
we've seen
how it ends.
Teresa's grandmother way more than we've seen Teresa.
Yeah. She had more camera time and more talking time. Actually, yeah,
Well,
she
way more
delivered a bunch.
lines.
Yeah, definitely delivered more lines. She got a bigger
I
check,
don't
I
think-
think, than Teresa did.
Did she have a line?
No, she just did the eye movement with the eyes rolling back when
Yes.
when the drugs hit her. But yeah, there goes that. Oh, and that was the other thing. I think that guy, the LA guy, was also distributing drugs. He was also into gun running and drugs because remember she talked about the fentanyl and doing some stuff. That was how she was tracking, but they couldn't prove it.
Then maybe that's why she had.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she had stuff on them. I don't
For
know.
the
I'm
drugs.
still
It's just
confused on
the
that.
I don't know, but the point is they were definitely cramming a lot of important info and other side passing conversations,
Yeah,
just to get everything moving. And it's like, okay, if you're going to keep rushing all this,
it,
where are we going?
it was almost like we said we're doing 8 episodes this season, and we don't have enough. We don't have enough real. We don't have enough story plot for a seventh episode, so let's add stuff to it. Just didn't need to be there.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely trying to set it up, but we're here next week. We'll be back,
yeah,
everybody, for episode 8. So again, remember we plan after that with the Saturday after. We plan on doing a live show to break down the season, to talk about it. Hey, we'll talk about the other season. Have you guys watched it? Have you not watched it? Are you interested in us covering something like that? Because that's one thing that I haven't noticed from a lot of people that we're not sure about this is that, oh wow, I didn't know about Reacher season 1 and 2. Not sure if I should jump into 3. I'm explaining they're not connected. You can jump in whenever you want,
yeah,
so there's something there, but we'll talk about it then. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Go and check out Lawrence and his channel. He's constantly up streaming, live streaming, doing product
yeah,
reviews, and
a lot.
he's busy. We are talking about it beforehand, coming up with ideas, but his schedule is like jam packed with all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah, I
he's a
need
busy
about
man.
28 hours in the day.
There we go. See.
All right.
All right, everybody.
I need how many hours are in the day that it takes for them to film one of these episodes where they can fill stuff in. Like your time doesn't work. That's what I need.
Right, and they're doing it all in the daytime, and maybe that's why Reacher doesn't change his clothes. I don't want to believe that that's all he owns, just one pair, because he would have pit stains and all kinds of stuff. We don't see that, but hey, that's a whole other topic. All right, everybody, thanks.
All right,
Peace.
take care, guys.